Alright, today we're looking at finding the nth terms and means of arithmetic sequence. So we're looking at arithmetic sequences today. So let's back up and eliminate the word arithmetic to begin with and talk about a sequence. What is a sequence?
An order of numbers. Like
An ordered set of numbers. That is correct. Very good, Matthew. Okay, and then so the sequence is an ordered set of numbers. What is an arithmetic sequence? What does the word arithmetic mean to you? Like what? What does arithmetic mean to you?
Adding and subtracting.
Adding and subtracting.
Oh.
So, it's an ordered set of numbers, and how am I going to get from one number to the next? By adding or subtracting something. That's an arithmetic sequence. So it's a set of numbers that are a certain distance apart from each other. Okay, you're either adding the same thing each time, or you're subtracting the same thing each time. Okay, so that's what we're looking at today.
Yay.
Arithmetic sequences.
Yay. Massive vocabulary.
So, for instance, let's say I had 17, 12, and 7. So here's my arithmetic sequence. I've got a ordered set of numbers. And what do you notice about this ordered set of numbers? I'm subtracting by 5 each time. Okay? Now, what's another name for each one of these numbers? What can I call each one of these numbers?
Joe and George.
Starts with a T.
Timmy, Mommy.
Term. Each one of these is a term.
Yeah,
Okay? And to get from one term to the next, what did you say we did here? We subtracted by 5. Now, that is called the common difference. Okay? So the common difference in this case would be a -5. Why does it need to be a -5?
Because you're
I'm not subtracting. If I was adding, it would just be a +5. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is identify the common difference, and then the next thing they're going to ask you to do on these first couple problems is find the next 4 terms. So what would I do to find the next 4 terms? I would subtract 5. So what's the next one going to be? 2, the next one, -3, the next one, -8, and the last one, -13. So they're going to give you an arithmetic sequence. They're going to ask you to find the common difference and then find the next 4 terms. Okay, what did we do to find the common difference?
figured out how much was adding and subtracting each.
And what can I do? What can I do every time to figure out that common difference? Because sometimes in this case, it's pretty easy to see the common difference is -5. But what if it's a larger number and I can't tell just by looking at it? What would I do to find it?
Subtract the biggest number.
Yeah, I take the second term, which in this case would be 12 minus the first term, and that gives me the common difference. So the second term minus the first term will always give you the common difference. Okay. All right, next one. Next thing I want to do is write a formula for an arithmetic sequence. Okay, so that way, if I wanted to find any given term, I have the ability to find it. And once I have a formula, then we're good to go. Okay, the first formula we want to write is called an explicit formula. Okay, and it looks like this: a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. That's our explicit formula. So to get an explicit formula, there are 2 things we need to fill into this formula. What 2 things do we need to fill in? The difference and a sub 1. Because what does a sub 1 represent? The first term in the sequence. So those are the 2 things we need to fill out. So a sub n equals, in this case, a sub 1 is 12 plus n minus 1 times my, what's my common difference in this case? 9. So my explicit formula is a sub n equals 12 plus n minus 1 times 9. And what does this formula allow me to do? Find any term in the sequence. Okay? So to verify it, let's find the third term in this sequence. What should I get when I find the third term? I should get 30. So what do I need to do to find the third term? What do I plug in?
30.
I plug 3 in for n. So I plug 3 in for n. So 12 minus or plus 3 minus 1 times 9. And when I finish with this, I should get 30. So a sub 3 equals 12 plus, this is 2 times 9, which is 18. So I get, as you see, 30. So that tells us that we did the explicit formula correctly. Okay? Now, you don't have to do that every time. I was just showing you that our formula, how we use our formula to produce a specific term. So I could get any term I wanted to. So if I wanted to find the 50th term, what would I do to find the 50th term? Substitute 50 for n and then work it out. Okay? Now the other one is called the recursive formula.
Why didn't they teach me this sooner?
And I'm not a big fan of the recursive formula. I think it's pretty much useless. But you need to go ahead and know how to do it. We won't use it very often. Okay? Majority of the time, we're going to use the explicit formula. You're only going to use the recursive formula when it asks for it. So if it doesn't ask for it, then use the explicit. Okay, recursive formula, you have to tell us what the first term is, and then we need a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus my common difference. So it's like a two-piece formula. You have to figure out what a sub 1 is, and then you fill in a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus the common difference. So in this case, a sub 1, I would say a sub 1 equals 12. And then I would say a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus what? 9. So this would be the recursive formula. That would be the recursive formula for our arithmetic sequence. A sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus 9. Now, somebody tell me, how is a sub n and a sub n minus 1 related? How are those two related? Alright,
The term.
which is what? Which one's which? Be specific.
Oh, A with n minus 1 would be the one that's just A.
Alright, very good. So, what Natasha's trying to say is a sub n minus 1 represents the term before a sub n. Okay? So if this was a sub 4, then a sub n minus 1 would be a sub 3. Okay? So that's all this is if I know the first term, and then I know, if I'm trying to find a sub 5, what do I have to know to find a sub 5?
Oh.
I have to know a sub 4. I do a sub 4 plus 9. That's why I feel like it's useless. Okay? But you need to know how to write it down.
So when the book asks for us to do that, what you circled, is that the answer?
You need to give me this formula for explicit, and you need to give me this for recursive.
And you don't have to be with this all
Just right.
No, that's it right there.
Examine the beginning.
Try another.
Formula and it turned out to be the exact formula.
So I want to write an explicit formula and a recursive formula for this arithmetic sequence. So we'll do explicit first. So a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. So what two things do I need for an explicit formula? Difference and the a sub 1, the first term. So a sub n equals 35 plus n minus 1, and what is my common difference? Negative 12. So there's the explicit formula. Alright. What do I need for the recursive formula? I need to identify the first term, which is 35. And then I need a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus my difference, which is negative 12. So this first one is the explicit, the second one is recursive. So far, your first type of problems are going to be identify the difference, find the next four terms. The second type of problem, give me the explicit formula and the recursive formula. Okay? And then the next set of problems is kind of a mixture of finding missing stuff. So 25, 17, 9, and this time they want me to find the 68th term. So they're giving me the arithmetic sequence 25, 17, and 9, and they want me to use that to find the 68th term. So any recommendations? Write the explicit formula. That is correct. So a sub n equals 25 plus n minus 1 times what? Times negative 8. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
So there's my explicit formula. Now, how am I going to use it?
Plug in 68 for n.
Plug in 68 for n. Good. So a sub 68 equals 25 plus 68 minus 1 times negative 8. So 25 plus 67 times negative 8. And that ends up, I think it's negative 511 if I remember.
Dang it, let me go back.
So what did we find in negative 511?
The 68.
The 68th term. So what does that mean?
36.
If I kept on subtracting negative 8
Yeah, that's right.
all the way out to the 68th term, that number I'd end up with is negative 511.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so this time they're giving me the 25th term is 139. They're telling me my common difference is 3/4, and they want me to find a sub 1.
Fractions.
So 25th term is 139. My common difference is 3/4, and I want to find a sub 1.
Would you still do explicit formula?
Still do the explicit formula.
Let's solve it.
So a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. So what I know a sub 1 is going to stay a sub 1. And what about everything else? What else can I fill in?
If you fill in 139.
139 for what?
A sub n.
A sub n, so this is 139. Okay, what about the other stuff? I know this has got to be 1. What about the n? 25 is the n,
Yeah.
and my common difference is 3/4.
For some reason.
Any issues filling that out?
Yeah.
Fraction.
Now all I have to do is solve for a sub 1.
3/4 is 18.
So this is 24 times 3/4. So that is 6 times 3 is 18, and then I subtract over and I get 121. Is that right? So what is it we found?
And first number.
The first term in the sequence is what we found. Okay. So this time they want me to find the common difference. They're giving me the fact that my first term is 75 and the 38th term is 56.5. So they want me to use that information to find the common difference. So explicit formula again. All right, so since I'm wanting to find the common difference, that means I've got to be able to plug something into everything else. So what am I plugging into a sub n?
56.5.
56.5. What am I plugging in for a sub 1?
75.
75. And what am I plugging in for n?
38.
38. Very good. So I subtract the 75 over, which gives me negative 18.5. I have 37 times the common difference, and when I divide, I get negative 0.5.
Whoa.
So what does that mean a sub 2 is? 74.5.
Wow, that's a really long
I subtracted the 75 to the left, and that's where I got the negative.
Okay.
It's like algebra.
Everybody understand why a sub 2 is 74.5?
Yes.
Yes.
Because to get from one term to the next, what are we doing?
Subtracting.
Subtracting negative 0.5, so 75 minus 0.5 gives me 74.5. All right. All right, so they're giving me two numbers, 43 or 4.3 and 12.8, and they are wanting me to find 4 arithmetic means between those two numbers. Anybody know what that means? Yeah, you think it's 4 averages because of the word means, but it's really not 4 averages. They're saying that if I have 4.3 and I've got 12.8, that means there are 4 numbers in between those two that make an arithmetic sequence. Okay? So I've got 4.3 here. I've got another number, another number, another number, another number, and then I've got 12.8. I want to find those 4 numbers in the middle that make up an arithmetic sequence. So, any thoughts on how we want to do this? Yes.
Subtract the first number from the last number, divide by 4, that gets you your whatever it goes up by, and then just add it to the first number.
Okay, so let's see if that works. So if I subtract, that gives me what, 8.5?
Yeah.
And then you want to do 8.5 by what?
Divided by 4.
Divide by 4. So what's 8.5 divided by 4?
2 point something.
2.25. Wait, 2.5.
So 2.125?
Yeah.
So you're saying, and then add that up? Is that what you're wanting to do? So plus, if I go plus 4.3, that gives me 6.425 plus that same number, 2.125, gives me 8.55 plus 2.125 gives me 10.675 and plus 2.125 gives me 12.8. So that didn't work.
Ah,
So just one
but
more.
we're on some track.
Or
Divide
divide
by
by 5.
5.
You want to try it and divide by 5 this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if we subtract? We got 8.5, and then we want 8.5 divided by 5, and that gives me 1.7. So if I do 1.7 with this, that gives me 6. That gives me 7.7. That gives me 9.4. That gives me
11 point something.
11.1, and it works that time.
How do you just
But I want to do it a different way. Yeah, that's a great question. Why do we do it by 5 is a great question. So let's figure out why we do it by 5. What's another way we can do it? Yes.
Before we were doing -1, so in -1, so now it's in +1.
All right. Let's see why it's n plus 1. How else can we do this? Anybody have another thought on how we can do it? plug it into the formula. Because what do I have right here in 4.3? What is that? That is A1. And what is 12.8? A6. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can plug that into my formula. A sub n equals A sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. So I have 12.8. I have 4.3 plus n is going to be 5. And then I have my common difference. Now notice, what am I getting ready to do with the 4.3? I'm getting ready to subtract it, which is what we did previously. So that was 8.5. And then notice what are we doing next? Then we're dividing by the 5.
So basically doing the formula
Which
without
gives
the
me-
derivative.
So yes, you were doing the formula.
That's awesome.
So I recommend you plug it into the formula and find your common difference this way. Because the next type of sequence we're going to do is geometric, and that way that we did it just then won't work with geometric. With geometric, you've got to use the formula. So I recommend you use the formula now. That way, when it comes to geometric, you're already using the formula. So to find our arithmetic means, identify your first term, identify your last term, plug it into your formula, find your common difference, and then add it. Okay? And you can always check to see if you're right by taking your last term and adding, and you should always get to 12.8. Okay? If you add and it doesn't work, then that tells you did it wrong. So that's finding your arithmetic means. All right, so that's finding nth terms of arithmetic means or arithmetic sequences and finding means of arithmetic sequence. Okay, what's the main thing we need to know about arithmetic sequences?
Add one to one.
Common difference. To get from one term to the next, you're using a common difference. That's what's going on. All right, page 605. That's it.
Man, why didn't you do that section?
Page 605, 2 to 32 equals.